I'm still holding out hope, damn it. Hello my faithful watchers, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 11 Episode 3 Rosa, written by Chris Chibnall and Mallory Blackman and directed by Mark Tonderay. Now, as usual, there will be spoilers for this episode, so if you're not caught up yet, be sure to check it out first. Okay, welcome back. The Doctor, Ryan, Yaz and Graham arrive in Montgomery 1955 at the height of race segregation. They encounter a seamstress by the name of Rosa Parks, played by Vanette Robinson, who is about to be made famous by protesting on a segregated bus that will become a major civil rights movement in America. However, rogue time agent Krasko, played by Joshua Bowman, is set to change history so that the protest never happens. It's now up to the TARDIS team to make sure history runs its proper course. When I heard that Doctor Who was going to be doing an episode about Rosa Parks, I was instantly hooked, as it's been a long time since we had a celebrity historical. For those of you that don't know, a celebrity historical is when the Doctor and co meet a famous historical figure such as Marco Polo, Emperor Nero, Charles Dickens, Queen Victoria, William Shakespeare, Vincent van Gogh, etc. Furthermore, I think this is the first celebrity historical since 2014, when the 12th Doctor met Robin Hood, and even then he's more of a legend than a real figure. The episode works very well by portraying Rosa as an ordinary person before she achieved fame for her protest. She's someone who went to work but was involved with civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King, and it's so inspiring to see her take action by doing something so simple, by sitting on a bus, something everybody does every day, and she should be given rights for it as well. I've also got to give credit to Vanette Robinson, who played Rosa. Her accent was a bit dodgy at times, but I felt she brought a lot to the role, and through her performance you can see why Parks is such an influential figure on not just the companions, but also the entire world, the civil rights movement, and let's not forget asteroids. I do have to talk about our TARDIS team this week, and in my opinion this is the best that they've been so far. Well, I've been on board with them so far. I've not hated them, but I've really liked them for the past two episodes. This is where I think I'm truly starting to love them and regard them, I think, as something quite special. I think a lot of this is down to them being in history, and it's something they're mostly familiar with, such as Graham's reference to Elvis. Nice reference, I think. As well as Elvis having Frank Sinatra's number, because the Doctor gave him her mobile. Quite a nice joke, I think. But the episode is brutally honest, as when they immediately land, Ryan tries to hand a white woman her dropped glove and is nearly attacked by her husband, and he nearly lets his anger get the better of him. But of course it doesn't stop there, as he and Yaz are refused to be served in a restaurant. They have to hide in the hotel bathroom that prohibits coloured people, and Ryan even has to sit at the back of the bus. I loved seeing the companions adapt to this environment, trying to rise above it and make jokes like, it's good you don't serve blacks cause I don't eat them, which I thought was a nice joke. Also, I'm starting to like Yaz a lot more. So far I feel she's been the most underused out of them, but I'm really glad she got more screen time here. The scenes with Rosa were definitely a highlight, asking her what keeps her going, and Rosa tells her the hope of tomorrow. And Yaz can relate to that with her job as a police officer. She's happy with where she is, but she wants more from it, and she wants to, be in charge. And Rosa Parks herself tells her amen to that. And that was definitely a highlight for me, and it really adds to her character, as she was told wanting more was a good thing from her idol, and that's bound to boost her confidence. Ryan also had a struggle keeping his temper, wanting to lash out at any racial comments that came his way, but going by Grace, his grand's words, and that's to never give them that excuse. And that's such a great message, I think, to anyone suffering any type of bullying. As someone who went through a bit of it myself over the years, I've learned not to give them the satisfaction of thinking that they're worth your time, because they really aren't. I really liked Ryan and Yaz sharing their frustrations about history together, and even in the present, they both agree that she was, Rosa Parks, such an influence on civil rights movements. They still notice that it happens today. Yaz is called racial slurs when trying to sort out domestics, or even when she's leaving a mosque, a place of worship. But she's aware that she's able to be a police officer because of people like Rosa Parks, and even thinks, what will the future be like 50 years down the line? 50 years from their future in 1955. They have their first black American president, and 50 years down the line, will we improve or will we go backwards? And for me, it's easily been Yaz's best episode so far. Another highlight from Ryan was meeting Martin Luther King, another influential civil rights leader, telling him that his gran, Grace, is his biggest fan. Something from Ryan's facial expressions tells me that Grace would be proud of him meeting one of his idols, as well as being chuffed to bits that Martin Luther King was sorry that Grace had passed away. One of my favourite moments was the thanks Martin Luther King and yes Rosa Parks. You can tell he's shocked beyond belief that he's met one of his idols, but it's all coming together for him and it's all so exciting for him at the same time. Another noteworthy moment that I thought was worth pointing out is when he and Yaz sneaked into the hotel and discussed about one of Yaz's crushes during high school. And Ryan thinks that he was well below her, unintentionally giving her a compliment. There's a slight hint at romance there, which may be developed in later episodes. Now, I would be open to it, but so far I do think they work better as friends. Graham's contributions to the episode were also really good as well, and I find his association with Rosa Parks, how he knows about her, to be very obscure, but it fits in so well with his character. Back home, he was a bus driver, and Grace asked, his partner when they first met, "You'd better not be James Blake, otherwise known in history as Blake the Snake," the bus driver who refused to allow Rosa Parks to sit on the bus. Like I said, it's a pretty obscure reference, but I totally love it, as I make obscure references myself, even when the conversation doesn't call for it. Not to mention he was great at getting on Blake's side, the bus driver, making sure he's at work that night so history can take its course, and even relating some of his work to him, which I found really cool to watch. The mobile phone references also got a laugh from me when he described a new phone being one that takes pictures, checks the time, sends letters, and one that has a calendar, and the officer dismissing it as pretty pointless. That was a nice jab at how overused phones are today. You also get the feeling that he still misses Grace and wishes she was here, but Ryan thinks otherwise, as she'd probably start a riot, honouring her memory, but at the same time thinking about the positives she brought to the people that she loved. Jodie Whittaker continued to shine as the Doctor in this episode. I loved her use of diagrams and writing on the wall when explaining who Rosa Parks is. It reminded me a bit of the second Doctor, who would often use diagrams when discussing a plan of action. My Jodie Whittaker moment of the week, yes, I'm going to make this a thing now, was in the hotel room with the officer. The officer is looking for Ryan and Yaz, calling them coloured and derogatory terms like Negroes. I loved her response of not recognising anyone by that description, and if they're in the hotel, responding with, "We're not harbouring anyone who doesn't have a right to be here." She's telling the officer what he wants to hear. From his point of view, she is obeying the law by not seeing any coloured people and is keeping to the segregation laws. It's an excellent use of dramatic irony, something I learnt at uni, to keep the audience on the Doctor's side. That is my favourite moment from the Doctor this week, because it encompasses everything about the character, standing up in what she believes in and still keeping her enthusiasm for helping people, no matter what race. I also feel I should mention, and I think this is what got a lot of people, from what I've seen online, really on board with the episode, was the brutal but excellent twist about the Doctor and co causing history. They have to make sure that the bus is full of white people, so Rosa sits where she's not allowed to and refuses to move, like what history told us. The twist here is that they must stay on the bus so that she'll move, and that devastates all of them, particularly Graham, saying, "I don't want to be a part of that." But they kind of have to in order for these civil rights movements that come later down the line because of this protest to happen. So the pacing of it was so superb, as the Doctor is just trying to work it out in her head what has to happen. While they don't want to be a part of it, they have to be in order for history to happen. It's a great twist that genuinely had me shocked when I first saw it. Great stuff. In terms of production values, the episode again looked great. Costumes and sets really felt like you had stepped back in time, as well as the cinematography of the slums and the streets of Montgomery. They looked very atmospheric. It made some of the poorer places look really run down, but still great stuff. You did feel like you stepped back into history. The opening shot, I also have to mention, was marvellous. The camera overlooking the street and following Rosa across the road until she got on the bus. I mean, that was fantastic. Bravo, Mark Tanderai. Now, let's talk about the weak stuff once again. In fact, once again, the villain was a big letdown this week. The Vortex Manipulator and Archon Energy were decent callbacks. When the best thing about your villain was previously established canon, that ain't a good sign. Krasko, for me, lacked any screen presence. His motivation felt very weak. I just wished he wasn't there so we could have a pure historical for the first time since Black Orchid in 1982. His defeat was also really weak as well. He simply zapped to the past by Ryan, and that's it. Though one thing I'm noticing from the villains so far is that there seems to be a hint of more to come from them. So who knows, we could see him pop up again in the James I episode, or the finale, where they actually give him something to do. But one defense I've kind of heard for his character is that the villain here is more the racist attitudes rather than him. He's just trying to help them a bit. It's people like the bus driver and the white people who obey the laws who are trying to carry on with those laws and those racist attitudes that are the real villain here. But honestly, I don't think you needed him. Just keep those people being the villain. Have the villain be humanity itself. That's far stronger in my opinion. Also, I may be in a minority here, but I felt the song Rise Up when the pivotal moment happened, where she sat on the bus. That was too much for me, and it kind of robbed the moment of dramatic weight. It was too distracting and out of place. I'm more for the silence is golden, so if there's less music when there's a dramatic moment, it can help. Sometimes it can, sometimes it can't, but that's just me. I think it would have worked better if there were no music. And whoever decided to place that song over the end credits is a traitor and should be shot at dawn.
Do not take that seriously, that was my only exaggeration.
And now we're on to the section of what did you guys think? And I put out a tweet on Twitter asking people to tweet me their thoughts, and only one person responded, and that was Dave Nightmare. And he believes that Josh Bowman was completely miscast as the villain. He was too inexperienced an actor to be threatening, and they should have used the same song the episode began with. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to say. I won't go far as to say the actor was miscast. It's just he wasn't really given much to work with. He was just kind of there. But yeah, but to be honest, if they wanted him to have more of a screen presence, they could have cast an actor with more screen presence to be the villain. In fact, I speculated that he could have been the meddling monk, as he was a character who interfered with history during the William Hartnell era, and that could have been a nice callback, but again, I don't think you needed a villain from any time. You could have made this a pure historical, damn it. And yeah, those are good thoughts to have. Thank you for your thoughts, and again, if you want to have your tweets included in the review, make sure you just look out for the tweet that says tweet me your thoughts below and I'll include them in the review. So thank you, Dave Knight, for your contributions. So, to conclude, Rosa is a brilliantly paced, excellently performed historical that is up there with the likes of The Aztecs, The Massacre, and Vincent and the Doctor as one of the programme's finest historical episodes that I could recommend to just about anyone, even if you've never seen Doctor Who before. Well everyone, that's all from me. Be sure to like, share and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the episode, and I shall see you all next time when the spiders come to the UK. Goodbye.